Hello. Uh, I'm going to be discussing a couple of Voidwalker builds that I personally run in in-game PvE. I see a lot on some of the subreddits on Reddit for people discussing, like newer players discussing things like, I want to use Voidwalker, what should I use? And it's a little disheartening sometimes because I see a lot of comments on there usually telling people to either just use Dawnblade or to use the Broodweaver. And while Broodweaver can achieve a lot of the same explosive success that Voidwalker can achieve, and Dawnblade has a lot of the survivability, similar survivability that Voidwalker has, Voidwalker has both of them, and I think that it offers something unique to the table a lot of the time, along with the interesting ad clearing opportunities that presents itself inside of Void Affinity builds. So I'm going to be discussing this build first. That is kind of a more recent one I just started messing around with. I decided I wanted to try out Verity's Brow a little bit more. Oddly enough, tangent, right? Because I wanted to use it with the Forerunner grenade, which does work. So you can give the damage buff from Verity's Brow to the Forerunner, the alt fire Forerunner grenade if you use like Unforgiven or whatever kind of void weapon. Anyways, that's not going to be discussed really. That's just a fun little interaction I found. But I was testing more of Verity's Brow and I was doing like Legend Lost Sectors and farming in general, and I found that I like this build a lot in Lost Sectors because barrier Felteradiddle, it does the barrier. I can just tap fire it if I'm like at light or like slightly below light. I can basically like 2-tap, but like just barely pulling the trigger or like clicking on it. So I don't even have to do fully charged shots, which is really convenient. Telesto is just incredible this season. I really enjoy it with the Unstoppable. I enjoy it with the Volta rounds, with Echo of Instability. I think it's just absolutely incredible. It works really nicely with Verity's Brow. It works nice with Void Siphon. It's just a really, really nice fusion rifle. As you can see, I like it a lot, and I've been using it for a very, very long time. I'm glad that it's starting to kind of break into almost meta territory a little bit in certain people's discussions, because I've just loved this gun forever. It was my first exotic in Destiny 1, and I've just loved it ever since. I prefer Corrective Measure over Commemoration, because even though they're both 450 adaptive Void machine guns, Corrective Measure has the opportunity to roll with Demolitionist and Adrenaline Junkie, and Commemoration doesn't. It's kind of better for just a general ad clear if you're not running specifically like a grenade focused build, which if you're using Voidwalker, you should be running a grenade focused build. If you're not running a grenade focused build, you're doing something really weird or you're not doing it right. Right, a couple of exotics that would be discussed in that. Briarbinds, it's okay. Like, it's a gimmick, in my opinion. I don't think it's actually good. I've used it a bunch of times in GMs. I think it's unremarkable at best. And you can also do Skull of Dire Ahamkara, which is better than you would think it is. Especially if you do it in team play, if you're not just using Skull of Dire Ahamkara alone. If you have a teammate that has Orpheus rigs, and they're using Deadfall, then you guys can kind of like chain off of each other and just completely systematically destroy ads in waves and stuff. It's pretty cool, but that's not what I'm discussing. What I'm discussing here right now, Verity's Brow. We're like Verity's Brow with the Suppressor Grenade. I think it's actually very good. I think Suppressor Grenade is surprisingly good on Voidwalker, a lot better than people give it credit for. I think it does a lot of damage. I like the fact that it intrinsically disrupts Overload champions, something that it doesn't say that it does. It makes it to where the Lucent Brood Hive can't use their supers. So if you're going up against like an Acolyte, right, or like the maybe not Acolyte, that's not the word. One of the Hunters, the Hunter Lucent Brood. If you hit them before they launch the knives, if the knives are out, they can't launch the knives anymore. It's really funny, and suppressing is just really, really good. Plus, I mean, like I just said, damage. It's not bad at all. I like it for this. I use it to also proc a little bit a little more consistently because it does like a burst of damage, and like I use it to proc Echo of Instability, and with the damage buff, it's pretty good. I would kind of mostly compare it to magnetic grenades, whereas where magnetic grenades are really nice. Suppressor grenades are kind of have like a larger area of effect, even though they do less intrinsic like single target damage. I just kind of like I like the functionality of suppressor grenades, and I've been very impressed as of recent. With this build, I also run Child of the Old Gods because I don't need to Chaos Accelerant a suppressor grenade because you can't do it. Plus, it's also just a nice way to lock down an area with the weakening effect, and also just kind of like chip damages them all. Pretty nice, and then it gives you back a little bit of grenade and melee energy. Not using the Pocket Singularity too often because it's not the greatest with this build, but if something gets a little too close to your comfort and you can't charge up that Telesto shot quick enough, you can just kind of knock them back. It's pretty nice for that. I use Vortex Bomb personally. I don't like it when my Cataclysmic Bomb gets shot out of the air by enemies. It's really, really annoying. And sometimes, based off of how certain things will go, Cataclysmic can just kind of drift off if it doesn't find a target, or like it just zooms past a target, it'll just keep going. Very annoying for that specific purpose. Vortex Bomb goes exactly where you aim it, if you learn how to aim it correctly. It does damage over time, which is kind of nice. It doesn't get in front of teammates if you're running with teammates. This build is not, but, you know, has a nice little bonus thing. They both do have the same amount of cooldown, so it's not a big deal. I run also Domineering, which is kind of cool, so I can reload all my weapons if I throw a suppressor grenade, if I hit them with the grenade itself, or if the suppressing effect goes off. So like if I actually physically hit them with the grenade before it blows up, it does like technically like 1 damage or something, but that counts as suppressing, and it will reload your gun. Not super important, but it can reload Telesto. Hey, that's something, I guess. Also increasing your mobility, considering I have a terrible mobility, that's not the worst thing in the world. But creates void breaches if I kill suppressed targets, which also goes into getting my Echo Starvation up more often. So if I kill a suppressed target, if the grenade doesn't kill it, so like if a grenade kills it, it'll give me firepower, and that'll give me an orb to pick up and get Devour procced off of it. But if it doesn't, and I just suppress it and then kill it, I can still get it. Pretty nice. More consistency, better. Weakening, just because I want to weaken larger areas. Again, suppressor grenade affects a kind of a nice area when it blows up, so it's like a midway between Vortex Grenade and Magnetic Grenade, and I kind of enjoy that, although obviously I've made Vortex Grenade because I've been maining Voidlock forever. But I've really enjoyed since Void 3.0 came out and Voidwalker got access to Suppressor Grenade. It's been surprisingly good. This isn't a super complicated build. Ashes assets, I want more grenades. Void Loader just to reload these, because obviously I don't really care. It's a lightweight bow. The withdrawal time's great. I don't care that much. It's good. And I'm barely even using it. Also, a fun little thing, Shoot to Loot can pick up an orb from far away now, because they just buff Shoot to Loot. So I can actually proc Devour if I spawn an orb further out. Kind of nice. Not a super complicated build. It's got like main things to discuss. I can just kind of swap all this stuff out. This isn't super important to have harmonic reserves. It is nice for corrective measure to have extra ammo, but it's not super necessary. And you just swap them out based off the resistances that you need for the very specific activity. You also would definitely want your Void Surges and then your Scavenger, because all of your ammo is based off of Void, so it's kind of nice. All of your ammo pickups, that is. And most of the damage is going to be dealt with these two. You don't really use Felteradiddle too much, but you can if you wanted to. And then I like a lot on Voidwalker, I like Reaper plus 2 Bombers. Always like that, because again, I like that discipline. I like consistently getting more orbs. It's just good. So that's this build. We also have this one. Woo! Ezerikson build. Love this build. This is a fun build. It's not as good, I would say, as the previous one, but it's fun. I like it with Collective Obligation. This build also has Suppressor Grenade, also has Child of the Old Gods, because I can actually leech the suppression with Collective Obligation. That's pretty cool. Pretty fun. I have Soul, my personal favorite sniper. You can use Succession here. You can use Supremacy. It doesn't matter. Whatever kinetics kinetic sniper rifle you prefer. I have all these options, I just like Eye of Soul. You can also just swap it for Riptide if you need it. Braytech Osprey, I like it because this build doesn't need a lot of ad clear from the heavy slot, so I can just kind of utilize this for DPS, and I have the Envious Assassin bipod with impact casing. Pretty cool. A lot of damage I can have, I think, with reserves. I have 13 rockets, and I can put somewhere between 6 and 8 rockets in a magazine if I have it all the way up, so that's kind of cool. And this is mainly just to, like, if a target's like really far out, quite out of the range of collective obligation, or if it has more health than I would like to deal with, Eye of Soul's pretty nice for that. So, yeah. This, I'm not gonna use Ashes to Assets as much on this build because I'm using an exotic primary, so I want to actually utilize this with heavy ammo finder so I get more heavy ammo, spawn more frequently, and I'm using it with scouts so my teammates can actually benefit from that as well. Nesrex Sins, by the way, does make it to where whenever you get a void kill, whether that be an ability or a weapon, it increases the ability charge rate for all of your abilities, including your super. So this is just kind of like a general use thing, but I have it slotted as something I can use on a raid. So we have, again, like I said, the suppressor. Weakening, it's the same. It's the same. You get the idea. This uses the same fragments and aspects because it's a pretty good combination. Nothing really too much happening there. I have Void Loader this time because well, no, I had Void Loader last time. Anyway, I'm thinking about future stuff. Same mods, nothing too complicated here. This is just, I like to use the loop of using collective obligation more. Nothing particularly crazy about this one. This one's pretty fun. We're going into Controverse Hold territory. There's 2 Controverse Hold builds on this of the 4 builds. Izzy, Unforgiven. I like the Unforgiven on here. I use this for dungeons or activities where the enemies aren't necessarily as tough and there's not champions. So SMGs are very, very good, very, very powerful in those kinds of things, and it's a void affinity, so I get to use instability. Wow. Void affinity be like. And we're going to be using Vortex Grenade now with Chaos Accelerant, so I can supercharge my Vortex Grenade. We have the Firepower, we have Fastball, Harmonic Loader. You get the idea, it's Void Affinity. Ashes to Assets back on again because it's Grenade build. I use Izzy. I use this for Unforgiven for low tier ad clear, that's close. If the enemies are like orange bars, like in Pit of Heresy, if I have to really kill like a sword, like one of the guys who has the sword, an ogre, or I have to kill one of the knights that stop me from entering the area in the beginning, I'll use Corrective Measure. But for the other low tier trash, I'll just use my Unforgiven with grenades and it just kills really, really quickly. Izanagi's Burden is just quickly melt any health that, if I get the drop on them, I'll use Izzy. If I don't get the drop on them and I'm just kind of like panicking killing them, I'm going to use Corrective Measure. This isn't a very complicated build. This has been like the bread and butter of what a Voidwalker is and has been for some time. And with the 3.0, mainly only difference is that we get volatile rounds. That's really it. I also have it to where my grenades cause explosions, which is pretty nice. Again, trying to do like really, really quick and efficient ad clearing, and then just dropping a Nova Bomb on like a boss or something. Nothing crazy going on here. I can swap this out with Braytech when it comes to the boss run. If I'm going to do like a dungeon, this is a pretty common build I'll use. And I'll swap out these mods as need be. So for example, if I'm doing Ghost of the Deep, I'm going to run double arc resist because there's so many moths that's very obnoxious. But again, not a very complicated build, nothing crazy. I can also swap this out for Arbalist. I don't have it on here, but I can swap it out for Arbalist if I need to do Arbalist duty on Ghost of the Deep. Or I can swap this to Eye of Soul, and I can run Yellowhorn. Either way is fine. And this is typical Nightfall build. I swap around here occasionally with weapon specifics. I just do it mainly to match the specific kind of champions that that will occur inside of Nightfalls. But that's not specifically mattering. The weapons, this is a build where the weapons don't matter particularly. It's mainly just for stunning champions. The core of the build is going to be using my grenade on this one, and I don't need Void Affinity or anything like that. I don't need demo weapons. I can just throw my grenade and use whatever weapons I want. Very simple, very neutral build. Vortex Nova Bomb, Vortex Grenade, Healing Rift, Feed the Void plus Chaos Accelerant, classic stuff here. I like the weakening effect. It's very important for me that I can just control a large group very effectively, which is also kind of like why I don't think that Briarbinds is very relevant, because what does Briarbinds do that Controverse Hold Vortex Grenade does not do? I know the Briarbinds will seek it out, but to that I would say aim, right? And it does more damage faster. It is a very satisfying gameplay loop to go over and pick up the little Void Buddy and carry it along with you, but I just don't think that it's realistically that effective, personally. So, do the weakening, and I have the increased duration on the Vortex Grenade for this build because I want to not have to use Demolitionist weapons on this, so that way I can get, the longer the duration of the Vortex Grenade is, it can proc the Controverse Hold grenade regeneration twice, which can basically give you back your entire grenade, especially if you have a grenade kickstart. And I have firepower with grenade kickstart because if I get the orb of power from the Controverse Hold, then it gives me more grenade energy back, and it just kind of like funds that over and over again into itself. Pretty nice. Fastball, I like fastball if you are actually good, and unlike me, if you're actually good at aiming your grenades, you don't need fastball. But I don't like doing that. It's just, I like to just toss it and not think about it. Starvation, I'm gonna be having orbs. I might as well run Starvation. Double Ashes to assets. I want to get my super back. And this one doesn't matter too much. I just kind of put this here to show you don't need a Void Affinity. Like, I don't normally run Telesto with this build. I will run something like Arclogic. I know, 0 kills. I just got this roll, but the previous roll I had like 5k kills on it. I used it a lot. Insidious, something like that. Breaktech Osprey. I can do things. I can use this build with Apex Predator. I can use this build with my Hothead. I can use this build to kind of whatever kind of rocket I need, whatever kind of element I need to match up to. Doesn't matter to me that much. Just some more examples real quick, like this Solar Scout, or specifically the Vision. I like Vision because it's got Wellspring Frenzy, so I can get my grenades back, but I don't need to use it. You get the idea, right? You kind of just use whatever elemental weapons you want to use. A lot of times I'll use Izanagi's Burden with this, or if I need to use Yalorhorn, I say need to use Yalorhorn because it's just so common these days. The metas. I use something like this, or actually probably more like this, Unstop Barrier. You get the idea. This is my Nightfall class. My build doesn't require anything out of my guns, purely just to stun champions and do DPS. But yeah, same thing also with the Reaper Double Bomber. Yeah, that's just it. Alright. If you enjoyed it, you know, feel free to say that I'm an idiot in the comments if you disagree. That's fine. Anyway, thanks for watching.